Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Dave, and welcome to the Love of Cinema, a pod in which we challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
Nailed it.
Sort of.
That's right, people. We try to keep it positive here. If we don't keep it positive for any reason, and that can include talking about this movie or each other or life or other people, you're going to hear this sound. That buzz means that we are going to be taking a drink. That buzz doesn't lie, folks.
It does
so I hope
not.
you pour a glass. Drink. Oh, sorry, you finished the intro.
Hey, you know what? Pour yourself a glass, slather yourself with marmalade. Oh, that went to a dark place. No, I'm going to stop that
Slather
right
it
now.
up. No, guys. John didn't get the assignment, so he watched the wrong movie. So that makes John and I the only culprits to have done that. Dave, you're holding the fort down. How does it feel to always get the assignment?
Well, I made the list, so it's kind of...
You did make the list. It was partly, well, it wasn't my fault. No, I was very clear that we watched Paddington this week. So anyway, you and John are going to be talking about The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent right after this, because that's what John watched and you had already seen it.
We're releasing them backwards, but yeah, this is happening just before we talk about it, but you'll hear it just after you hear it.
So this is the Paddington 2 episode. This is part of our Should Have Seen That By Now series, which will explain a little bit more about what that means to us in this podcast, because this film has come up several times in our podcast, Paddington 2. And
also
recently,
come up in Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent as well.
I was going to shout that out. It did come up in Unbearable Weight, which seems to be a movie that everybody likes. And people are listening to our podcast and seeing us on YouTube. So please, let's use that as a cue to find us on the socials. If you like what you're hearing, if you have any questions about our gimmick or anything or about us, Dave set up a link tree. So Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, obviously YouTube, Facebook. We got it all there.
You can find it.
All right. Yeah, let's shout out our fucking sponsors. We got Carlos Barroso. He's a beer sponsor. Find his shit in our fucking notes. Damn it.
It's like, shout out our sponsors and you just proceed to abuse them.
And then all the music is provided by the artist Dasein. That is Dasein. Find him on soundcloud.com/Dasein-artist to hear more music. Maybe try to rip some of that music for your student film. Just give us a shout out and tell us you're doing so. Anything else you want to do before we start setting up Paddington 2?
Let's just sit. I think the question we need to ask is, how did we get here? How did we get to Paddington 2? What's the story behind this episode?
Well, it was your guest. Well, we're all friends with him now, but
yeah, definitely. It was a guest host of the show that we had, Ryan, and he raved about this movie. And then there was, straight after he raved about this movie, there was the incident where someone dug up a Rotten Tomatoes review of Toy Story
Citizen
2. No, Toy Story 2 was the first one to knock it. So basically, yeah, Citizen Kane they found a negative review of, so that dropped it on Rotten Tomatoes. Toy Story 2 took over, and then this one popped above Toy Story 2. So Paddington 2, I think currently still has the highest Rotten Tomatoes score.
I just looked this up, and actually a reviewer, how fucking petty is this? A reviewer contacted Rotten Tomatoes and said, no, I wrote a negative review, and so they knocked it back down. Now Toy Story 2 is back on top.
That reviewer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, very complicated. Yeah. So to recap, Ryan,
the internet sucks sometimes.
Ryan was doing live shows in Tokyo, I think, and then the pandemic hit, and everything was fucking shut down. So Ryan was watching like 2 movies a day. He watched hundreds of movies. He guest hosts on our podcast, and we said, "What was your favorite movie you watched this year?" And he said Paddington 2.
And we mocked the shit out of him.
We roasted him because he saw 500 movies. He saw classics. He saw so many movies, and out of nowhere did we expect Paddington 2. And he was like, "Guys, I'm 100% serious. It's Paddington 2." And then very soon after, as Dave just said, Paddington 2
and it's obvious. It's obvious that the writers of Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent have listened to our podcast when that happened, because they had the exact same thing.
Yeah, the Daniels were 100. Yeah, they were definitely tuning in to us. So anyway, that's like our brief history and connection. Now, of course, neither John nor Ryan are on our podcast, so Dave and I are going to set the record straight. I should also say this is available on HBO Max. So if you want, Well, it's always hard to say pause the episode and come back because I feel like the retention rate is not great. But it is available now, and it is supposed to be one of the best movies of all time. So how about this? We'll try to keep it spoiler free for 10 minutes or so that way you can hear what we think of the movie. Whoa, the beer's hitting. Burps are coming.
Whoa.
So listen to 10 minutes, see what we think of the movie, then go back, watch, and come back and drink a beer and fucking talk about this movie with us.
Yeah.
Dave, did you see? I should ask right off the bat, and I really hope the answer is yes. Did you see Paddington 1?
I haven't.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
fuck, I knew this is gonna happen.
I went in cold on this. Yeah.
Oh.
It was a week. I took our first little trip to Boston, like on a plane, just because driving was a nightmare at this point, and we were going up to see Neil Gaiman. So this week was a write-off for me. So I didn't have time to go through the two of them. I wanted to, but I didn't have time.
You say this week is a write-off?
Yeah, this week was a write-off.
All to the business. Is that for your tax? Is that for your accountant?
Yes. Yeah. I can claim. I can claim this entire week, including Neil Gaiman, on my taxes.
That's great. No. I love that. Your tax guy is he's like, damn it, you don't say that shit out loud, Dave.
Yeah, if you listen to my podcast, he's like, no, you can't.
Hilarious. Well, I'm kind of glad we didn't watch Paddington 1 because there's going to be a lot of people out there that a lot. There's going to be tens of people who are listening to our podcast and going, hey, maybe we should watch Paddington 2, and you don't have to watch Paddington 1. Or you could do what I did with Fleabag and Mrs. Basil, and I just watched season 2, and then if I liked it, then I'll go back and watch season 1. So why don't you do that with Paddington, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm going to do.
What was preventing you from seeing it? I mean, it's a kid's movie, yeah, but the cast is great, and it's a famous character.
I don't know. It just, like, I'm not that big a fan of the story. I was never given access to the books or anything like that. Didn't really catch on in Australia, so there was not much interest from me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I had heard of the books and everything. I will say, because when I heard the Paddington 2 news, I watched the trailer, and the trailer was just Paddington fucking up a house. And I was like, this just doesn't seem like my kind of humor. I guess I could see why a kid would like it, but making a mess is humor isn't. I mean, even making like a personal mess, you know, when like Meet the Fockers, when everything goes wrong. Like, that's not really my style of humor. Like, it's funny, but it's kind of just, it's disturbing. And I'm like, oh man, this sucks. Like, God, fuck. So watching that as the teaser, I was kind of like, I don't know if this is really going to be for me, but maybe it's like The Godfather, where some people just say it's too dark for me. I know it's brilliant, but I can't keep up with the characters. No, this movie really is something special, and I think we should get into it. Anything else to say before we get into
Let's do it.
So this is, of course, based on Paddington Bear, or the fucking A Bear Called Paddington was the first book, which came out in 1958. The number of titles, it's crazy. I saw 14 with a collection of anywhere between like 6 and 10 short stories within that title.
Yeah,
but it's also
stopped writing in 2017.
Yeah, I think, yes, that's right. So 60 years though. And some of them there were picture books that came out just for younger audiences. So the numbers don't really matter, but a fuck ton in 30 different languages, tens of millions of copies of these books sold.
So in a couple of years, we'll be reviewing Paddington 32. So
Paddington 32. So there was also a TV show at some point, etc. It definitely looks like Mary Poppins. So if you want to know what the set is, it's basically Mary Poppins. But anyway, so they made it now into 2 movies with Ben Whishaw, aka the new Q in the Bond series. If you don't know, you're Ben Whishaw. He's also a ridiculously amazing theater actor. He's in a play on the West End right now, and he has won an Emmy. He's fucking awesome. Ben Whishaw as Paddington Bear. Lord. Oh my god, I forgot.
This definitely turns into a who's who though, like of British film and television.
Okay, yeah, the cast is a selling point. So before I even do the plot, are you ready for this? So, I mean, these fucking Brits, man, it's like they're so good. They just do children's movies better than us. Why is it that American children's movies are unwatchable for adults?
That's a very good question. I mean, what are they doing differently? Name
the last American children's movie that was great. Because Harry Potter, for instance, totally a kids movie. So what was the last like great American kids movie?
Home Alone?
Fucking 30 years ago. Wait, I buzzed myself. Shit. I mean, I know the Disney movies are great, I guess. I still think the old ones were better. I think they had a little bit more richness to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, enough of that. So Hugh Bonneville and Sally Hawkins play Henry Brown and Mary Brown respectively, who take Paddington into their home. You have fucking Michael Gambon. Yeah, that's right. Replacement Dumbledore. Yeah, and then Imelda Staunton, aka Dave loves Imelda Staunton, aka the new queen in the Crown. But also, what the fuck was her name in the 5th Harry Potter movie?
Oh yeah, Umbridge. Dolores Umbridge.
She's Aunt Lucy, who is Paddington's like adopted mother, and takes her in, and gets mentioned a lot in this movie. And Michael Gambon is her husband, Uncle Patsuzo. And then let's shout him out. Julie Walters, legend. You have fucking Jim Broadbent in there.
Yeah.
You have Richard Ayoade has a cameo. Fucking Brendan Gleeson. What a shout out for him. And then, of course, in this film, the second film, you add Hugh fucking Grant, who I thought was retiring from acting, and instead, it seems like he's.
I loved it. Like he plays a completely insane, washed-up actor in this. Oh wait,
I think. Come on, he's coming back. He had that 7-episode HBO series. He's coming back.
He's coming back.
This movie really is about taking care of your out-of-work actors, right? If you don't take care of your out-of-work actors, society will crumble.
Yeah, look what happens to them.
Also, we should really stop wrongful imprisonment. I think that's something that they really want kids to understand, that it's a problem and it needs to end now. Anyway, it's directed. Both of these movies are directed by Paul King, who apparently was a creator on The Mighty Boosh, which is this very absurd, like Monty Python in the future type British show from the first decade of the 2000s that I saw some clips of. And it's very out there, man, especially for an American audience. I was like, what the shit is this? But he is not going to be returning for Paddington 3, which is in development.
Oh, that's a shame.
He's directing Timothée Chalamet in the new Kid Wonka movie. Sorry. Wonka Who Fucks. That's the new Wonka movie.
Jesus.
Paddington. Oh my God. I teach voice students to kids. I really hope they don't listen to this podcast. Shit.
They do. It's already too late for them.
Dave, I'm rambling. Let me just set the plot up, and then I'm going to kick this to you to give us your initial reactions, kind of spoiler free, even though it's a kids movie. But Paddington. Now happily, this is on IMDb, by the way. Paddington. Now, I should also write the writers here are Paul King, the director, and Simon Farnaby, and the book is based on the Michael Bond series.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, plot. Paddington, now happily settled with the Brown family and a popular member of the local community, picks up a series of odd jobs to buy the perfect present for his Aunt Lucy, or I should say Aunt Lucy's 100th birthday. Man, that's an old bear.
That's in bear years.
Only for the gift to be stolen. Oh yeah, it's barriers. Hey, what are your initial thoughts of Paddington 2?
It's cute as fuck in the first 2 minutes. I was like, fuck me, this is going to be one of those cute things.
What an opening. It just opens with the bears.
Yeah. And it then, like, it basically sets up the plot from the get-go. You know exactly what's going on. It puts him in all these amazing situations. They go, like, when they first, because the whole thing centers around this book that he wants to buy. And when the first time they show the book, when they're explaining what the pop-up book is,
I wrote that down too. It's my favorite moment of the
It was movie. Like just the production design on this was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, Wes Anderson went. He got mad. He got mad. He said, all my people have won Oscars for me, and why can't that be my movie?"
Yeah, it was one of the most beautiful sequences in the film. Like they're literally, it's two CG characters walking through a pop-up book as part of his imagination. It was, that won me over from the get-go. I was on board for anything that happened after that. And then they introduced Hugh Grant, and he's like, straight away, you know, there's something not right with that guy. Like, and I found this a great family film. Like, if you look up you know how IMDb has the parents guide? You look up this one, the lights are all green. There is like nothing, no profanity, no like drinking or smoking. No
fucking.
Nope. It's not Willy Wonka.
Nope. Not yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paddington 3's got a new director, though. We'll see what direction they go in.
I love this. I thought it was great. And I would recommend anyone sit down with their kids and watch this, because even when they get to like the bit where obviously he's accused of something and he's put in prison, that's the basic plot of the movie. But they explain it enough. Like they hand feed you enough that the kids are going to get it, but they don't do it so much that the adults are tuning out. If you get what I mean, it's like it's really well paced and written for both audiences.
I want to know what this is like for kids because it seems like it is a kids movie made for adults.
Yeah.
Like, I actually thought I was the target demo. I thought they were going to just go right at my heartstrings and just say kids can watch this too. I mean, it is so amazingly charming and so well done.
Yep. Heartfelt means well.
The plot fucking cooks. It really moves, and it does not feel like it. Like I only knew that because I was writing like things down because I just wanted to like be like I just need to mention this tomorrow. I can't forget this, which I don't want to do. I also feel bad I spoiled something to you, Dave, because you mentioned it. It's not even that much of a spoiler because it happens like 30 minutes in, but he goes to fucking prison. I was like, who are these sick writers? We have the most likable character of all time, and he's in prison, and like actual real prison. Not like but again, it's like a funny sequence. Like it was heavy. It's a great sequence, and then it kind of like they go down that road of like what kindness can get you. It sends a great message in a weird setting. They picked a hard setting to do that in, but nailed it. Yes, I mean, I'm trying to think. I originally wrote down it's like Mary Poppins meets Amelie, so it's like a cool little world that they live in. But then all of a sudden they started messing with it in the most incredible ways. Like some of the rules, I think I was thinking at some point, I was like, I don't know what the rules are, so I don't even know if they're breaking them. But I feel like when you're sure of your tone and when you're sure of your story and your characters, then you really can get away with a lot. Like when he flies a goose over a lake, I was like, I don't know if this is in their rules, but like, thank God they did that.
Totally in their rules, yeah.
Well, and then they see the goose is like, even the goose is like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, okay, cool. Like they like all of these little details. They just because sometimes with these kinds of whimsical movies, again, I'm gonna knock on Americans as if I can make a better movie, but they do things to be clever and funny, and they try to be edgy. They think they justify them, but it doesn't really come across on the screen. But they print it anyway. And this, like, when Paddington, he's like, I'm gonna fly a goose across the lake, and Hugh Grant, he's chasing him through Hugh Grant, turns and he thinks it's crazy, and the goose thinks it's crazy, and Paddington doesn't. And I get the whole scope, so I can see what's going on. So like, I'm well taken care of as the audience member here. Yeah. But and the moments that you have the famous, because the villain, like Hugh Grant, really is, I think he's the reason that this is a 10 instead of a 9, for instance. Like his character is so good and he's so incredible as it. But they do one of the favorite, especially for kids, they do one of the best gimmicks, devices that you could do, which is the villain discovers his plan in front of you. You see him realize his plan. You absolutely do. And he does it in public too. But Hugh Grant takes it on really well. Sorry, I'm kind of fuck it. Anyway, I said I was going to be for this. No. I said I was going to be spoiler free, and I can't tell how. We're kind of still spoiler free. Like this is all. Okay, yeah. So I'll just leave it at that. You see that it happened, and I was like, okay, well, what are they going to do? Are they going to start twirling mustaches or whatever? But Paddington just goes. He says something really weird, like you need to climb the ladder up to your whatever. And he goes, I know, I'll become a window washer. And it's like this perfect segue that he got from the conversation. It wasn't just gimmicky. Like every scene led to the next thing. Yeah, I did not see that coming either. It was just like, I know, I'm going to do the most random fucking thing ever. And we all just went with it. I love that, like, straight up, like, I'm sure they probably dealt with it a little bit in the first movie, but straight up, this bear is hanging out in the neighborhood, chatting to people. He's got friends, like, and I love how the neighborhood changes when he's gone. Yeah. And they did it subtly. Like, like they could have spent 10 minutes and like really pounded us over the head, but it was like a 30-second sequence, and I totally got it. Yep. Oh my God. Yeah, I think the movie's a 10 out of 10. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, it really is. I mean, also like certain things that they did with the camera, like Madame Kozlova's, when she tells them the story about her mother. The camera pans from her into the past. So it literally starts snowing mid-pan and they pan into it. And I was like,
That's all practical. I'm sure that looked all like, if not, it was very well done CG, but it looked like the back half of this thing was snowing and they just turned the camera. So whoever's doing this production design on this thing, like, it was even that, like the prison kitchen, the design of that looks almost like it was illustrated for a children's book.
Yeah.
And like everything is stylized, but not stylized enough it pulls you out. It's they all round, like production wise, acting wise, story wise, what they're doing with the camera. This is a brilliant movie.
Yeah, not
I
just
deserve that.
Yeah, I was gonna reach for it, but I thought you were rounded down. And not just the big moments, like you mentioned, the one with the popping book, as they call it. The popping book comes to life, and
I had those as a kid too, so I love those.
Yeah, well, they're doing like those swirls, those like weird sweeping shots where they're doing like 360-degree rounds around Paddington while the scenery is changing. Yeah, like it's really wild. But also the subtle moments, like when Paddington's walking at night. I think you know, like it's dark and there's like a little stone. He's just like walking down an alley towards a payphone. It's like it's perfect. I mean, I don't know if it's composite. It looked real. Like it looked like it was a real alley. Yep. So I don't know how they put Paddington in there, but like it was done with such taste. It was so great.
All right, we should probably turn the spoiler alert on. We're at the 20-minute mark. Let's. All right.
All right. Spoilers.
I'll tell you what though. Can you imagine making a film like this, just to carry on what we were talking about, like where your like protagonist is literally not in the scene? Like I guess they had a ball there or on a stick or whatever. They might have been someone running around playing him. I haven't seen the behind the scenes on this, but in some of those shots, you're literally just you're filming empty plate shots, and they framed it perfectly. Like there's never anything where you go, oh, that looks a bit weird compared to the background. Like the effects guy just did a phenomenal job on lining this up. Like editor, camera, effects, all working together under a really good director. It pops.
Yeah, I mean, and also, I mean, the subtle things of that too, like sight lines, like actor sight lines, which every director they spent. But I don't know how much time they have. Like it could have been
the nose to nose with Knuckles when they've gone back and forwards, and it's like him full face staring down the camera and the Knuckles staring.
I mean, you have the cast with Hugh Bonneville and Sally Hawkins, and then their two kids. Like it's really great, and then Julie Walters in the house too. Yeah. So like that's a good solid like home base, literally. But I said Hugh Grant makes this movie a 10 out of 10, but also Brendan Gleeson is Knuckles. I mean, that's so great. I just love that you're in jail or in prison, and they're like, the one person you don't want to talk to is the cook. Like that's the one person that you don't want to speak to, and it's Brendan Gleeson. And I'm like, oh my god, this is like, he is going to be having a field day with this. Yeah. But then of course the way he has the tender soul, the way the details, the way that he gets the sandwich in his mouth while he's about to kill Paddington, and then that it's like the fucking moment in Ratatouille when Ego like eats the ratatouille.
I laughed out loud when the sandwich bit happened.
I laughed out loud when the sandwich is like falling out of his mouth and he's just like melting. And then I laughed again when the fucking inmates are applauding them for making this meal. It's just so they make this meal and they're all afraid to eat it until Knuckles tells them, and Knuckles is so worried about not pleasing them. This guy that's so hard. It's like he's like all bullies, right? It's that bully mentality of like bullies are really just hurting you to protect themselves or whatever. And he goes outside and they clap for. I thought it was so funny.
But then later on, they get to like the development where Knuckles says something about his aunt. And disparages his aunt, and he like the shot they do there is amazing. He's like tilted his head down. There's this expression that shifts slightly on his face. The lighting dims. I'm like, I too am a big fan of the hard stare. I feel like I've perfected that as well. But this was just fucking funny. I was like, I was waiting for like the eyes to turn red or some shit. That was really well done.
Oh my god, that's really really funny. The whole thing, all of his jobs, he's a window cleaner and he doesn't have like a dryer or a squeegee, so he just uses his fur to like clean the windows. I mean, I didn't even ask for it and he's cleaning their windows anyway.
I have to rewind that and actually show Therese, because there was one she was watching, I think it was Sing, the first Sing, with the koala, and he jumps on the windscreen and like that's like shimmying back and forwards in that. And she was actually watching that. I'd gone to bed. She was watching it on her own, and that happened. And I had to come out and find out what was making my wife laugh like the fucking Joker in the living room, because she was howling with laughter. So this is probably going to do the same thing.
I hope so. Okay, I want to get to Hugh Grant, but I want to wait for a second. How
many kids do you think got turned off Marmalade after they saw how it was made?
Oh yeah, what the hell? That's not what I expected. I thought that it would just come from a jar. I didn't realize he was going to make it from scratch. Also,
yeah, and then it's like, oh, the orange peels go in it. What? I knew that already, but yeah, that's why I don't eat a marmalade. But
I actually didn't know that, but
yeah,
that's really funny. I love. I think Sally Field was like a good, charming person, nice character. There was a good between the two parents. They had a really solid relationship. They were very unique characters, not just because he got married and she didn't. Like that would have been such an easy trip. Oh my God, buzz me, fuck. Sally Hawkins. I didn't even see Winning Time last night, which I could do that.
Yeah, that was a flashback to Stay Hungry.
Sally Hawkins. Sally Hawkins, who I love seeing British Sally Hawkins, because her two most famous American roles are Blue Jasmine and Shape of Water, where she has a British accent and then doesn't speak and then doesn't.
She literally just finished that to go and do this movie.
Oh yeah, I guess that's around the same time. Shape of Water, you mean?
Yeah, she'd literally just finished the underwater scenes and then came over and
is that right?
This. Yeah.
Well, and then Blue Jasmine 2013 and the Paddington 1 was 2014. So maybe that's the secret. She comes to America, does an Academy Award-winning role, and then exports herself back to England. Yeah, I thought the cast is amazing. I loved I love that the prison gets the most amazing fresh fruit of all time.
Yeah.
Okay. So here are the spots that I want to get to for sure. I want to get to the prison break, that whole sequence, which is very Wes Anderson-y. And then Hugh Grant. Which one would you like to start with?
Let's start with you.
Okay. So, the British Hugh, like that trope is so great. They did it in Shang-Chi last year with Ben Kingsley. Like to have an actual like self-effacing British actor play like the worst version of themselves, but thinks they're the best version of themselves.
And they even put him in women's clothing, so the whole gambit of British comedy is there.
He did makeup. He did the full. He did multiple costume changes in the act. He had a good Les Mis joke in there too.
Yes.
He was like, oh, 10 years in prison. He's like, well, I can relate. I did spend 3 years in Les Miserables. Like just the dumbest jokes like that. The way that he's talking to Hamlet, but it's not just Hamlet. He's actually talking to a mannequin of Hamlet, and that mannequin is really him when he did Hamlet. Like,
yeah.
It's so ridiculous. It's so
whenever he puts a disguise on, it's him and that disguise going out as a team committing the crime. Like he sees them as extensions of himself, and it's
buys
insane.
All the costumes, I guess.
It's insane.
I guess he buys all the costumes because this is another thing that it's like, yeah, it's a kids movie, but this is for adults. Like adults are watching Hugh Grant do this, and when he is in the dog costume, he makes these dog food commercials that Paddington actually accidentally roasted him for.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you used to be an actor, but now you just do dog food commercials. Anyway, when he's in the dog food suit and then he eats the dog food. Like this, oh my God.
And then the disclaimer straight after, not to be consumed by humans.
It is so funny.
There's so many little subtle statements in there. Like,
the nun to bishop transition when he's like busted. They're looking for a crazy nun and a full bishop, and you can see the guard be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, your royal, whatever they call bishops, your eminence." Yeah, it's like, I'm so sorry. It's like, why is this bishop walking? And then, I mean, I know it's a little early in the podcast, but he's in the after credit scene, and the after credit scene is so amazing. And I hate after credit scenes. But how good is that after credit scene?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I guess I didn't have to go to the West End after all. All I needed was a room. But wait, he needed a captive audience. Oh my God, it was so good.
I mean, that's the thing. This movie is fun, and like,
but fucking heavy, man. He goes to prison.
Yeah,
Paddington goes to fucking jail.
Goes to prison.
Who are these sick people? They have all this great fun shit. And then he goes to fucking prison.
I found that also like a little bit of a statement on the prison system, because like basically you go to prison and you have these horrible conditions that just turn you into a worse human. And he came in and he refused to bow to that, and he gave them a little bit of like just a little bit of nice and like some decent food, and it changed everyone's personality. I was like, this movie also solved the fucking prison system. Like,
oh my god, yeah,
they treat them like human beings.
Give them fresh fruit, people. Come on.
Yeah, nobody wants scurvy.
That scurvy looked shit. Oh my god, that scurvy looked so bad. Also, come on, the Red Sox joke. It's so great that every kid.
Oh yeah, I laughed out loud. How bad can it be? Instant cut to how bad it can be.
Also, again, the rules. Like, I know sometimes things are realistic. Like, prison is bad. Is like, obviously they're not going to pretend like it's not. But they didn't put every single outfit in there, and also even in the after credit scene, there's still pink outfits by the after credit scene. One red sock, and then not only that, every single person next time they're in the lunchroom is just staring at Paddington because they're all wearing like this weird pink prison outfit because of one red sock
in one washer.
Don't you think it's a bad idea to put the laundry release button underneath the laundry thing too? Like, he pushed that button, I was like, that's really poor planning.
That was definitely for the kids. That one was definitely for the kids.
Because it dropped, like, literally the door opened and then the laundry went, phew, and it all dropped like at once on him. Which is why the red sock was on his head. Everything was justified. Everything was justified.
Yeah.
In every single scene, both characters went somewhere else by the end of it. Whether it was Knuckles and Paddington, whether it was Hugh Grant and Paddington, like, both characters had to change by the end of the scene. It's fucking brilliant. I actually can't believe how well done this was.
Me either. And I can't believe we waited so fucking long.
I don't know what, and the trailer I watched must have been from Paddington 1 anyway, which I'm still...
Ryan's sitting somewhere in Australia right now going, thank you.
Yeah. I would be curious to see what he would want to say. Okay. But anything that you have on your channel? I love Jim Broadbent as like the guy keeping the magician's secrets too. Wait, you mentioned really quick before we do the prison outbreak scene. You mentioned the lady that ran the fair or whatever, and her mom or grandma that was in like the circus or whatever.
Yes,
she started the fair or whatever. The magician who disappeared in thin air that Hugh Grant is emulating.
Yeah.
For the first time, and he stole the treasure or whatever it was. That magician, his entrance was he had this like fucking hilarious look on his face. It was so good. I was like, he is a murderer, but man, what a good character. Like, I thought that was so well done. Okay, that's it.
Cool.
Okay, prison outbreak scene.
Prison break
sequence.
Go.
What a heartbreaker. So they're going to convince Paddington to break out of jail. He says no. He eventually says yes, whatever. And they're breaking him out. It's so well done. It's like fucking The Life Aquatic meets Shawshank Redemption, but breaking out. And they get out, and apparently somebody can fly a plane. Again, I don't know what the rules are, but people in prison apparently can fly planes. It's great.
Dude, it's a talking bear. The rule book's out the window.
I'm buzzing you anyway for being a dick. No, you're right. What did you see did you see the end of that sequence? Because I guess I should have seen the end of the sequence coming.
I think there were too many distractions there for you to actually focus on where that was going.
Because there's no way they're going to clear his name overnight. So this is the kind of movie that puts you at ease so much that I should have thought the whole time, like, well, how is this going to go wrong? Because this is a movie.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't think for 1 second, like, how is this going to end badly? What's it going to do? I just went along for the ride. And when Knuckles, I mean, they're like, you didn't tell him. Again, all these like movie tropes that we should have seen coming a million ways. It's like, if I told him, he wouldn't have come. Like, yeah, we know. But it got me really. Yeah. And then Paddington was like, fuck, man, I just broke out of prison. Like, I totally screwed myself. It was so heavy. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why, like, I know the Paddington stories, like, they are a little heavy like that. Like, they put him in situations, but it's the message overall that comes out in the end. And it's all the teachings of his aunt that, like, guide him through all these books and movies now. I mean, it's got some fantastic messages for kids. I thought this was... I mean, again, it's heavy, but again, kids need to know there's consequences for your actions.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Hear that, internet? There's consequences for your actions.
I know, but if you're a good person, you could still get in trouble and you could still go to prison wrongfully. So we need to fix the prison,
Yeah.
prison industrial complex. But generally speaking, if you do emanate goodness all the time, the good things will come around.
Yeah, don't insult actors. They will fuck up your life.
That's it. I mean, take care of your out of work actors. Also, if you're trying to escape prison, don't use a hot air balloon. I was like, why are they doing this? They have no idea where this thing's going to land.
Yeah.
They're in London. Where do they get a hot air balloon in London?
The hot air balloon shop.
And oh my god! And there was also the Aunt Lucy escape in the prison sequence where he's in the cell and the cell turns into, like what if he got to see Aunt Lucy, like if he got to break out of jail. Oh god, it was so touching.
Yeah,
that whole sequence was like up, and then it gets taken away from you at the end.
I mean.
Wait, how good? Now this is why I say like Wes Anderson would have loved this, and it's not just Fantastic Mr. Fox. When the first time Paddington's in jail and the family comes to visit, Sally Hawkins, Hugh, Bonneville, their kids, Julie Walters, and so they're at the glass with the phones on each side, and they're telling this like secret plan of how to get Paddington out of there. And somebody, I guess it's Knuckles, shouts from the background, and they go, "Is somebody there with you, Paddington?" He's like, "Oh no, nobody's listening. It's just Knuckles." And this person, and this person. And the way they pop their heads in one at a time, and they form this tableau to the point where they have to make a joke where they're like, this looks like a flower.
That could have been the movie poster.
It should have been the movie poster. It's another time where Wes Anderson sees this and goes, damn it.
Yeah. The straight on the back of that too, the gag where he switches the light off. And he's talking about the prisoners, like they're like, we can't trust them. They did this and this and this, and they're like, yeah, you only turned the light off, not the microphone.
Oh my god, I know, and then it's really sad, tense. Again, I usually don't like those moments, but the way that Knuckles handles it is perfect.
Yeah.
God damn it, this movie's fucking good. How good is the china in prison after Paddington's nice? They're like, let's give him some fresh fruit. We got to give him some fresh. We got some new china. Let's get him some
new china. Yeah.
I'm sure people are like donating fucking china to the prison after they find out Paddington's in there. And then the sequence at the end, filmmaker, what did you think of that with the two trains? And Hugh Bonneville finally does his yoga, and then there's just a pole coming right ahead.
It's, oh my God. Yeah. I could talk about this for hours.
Something about Hugh Grant on the train. I was like, this is a James Bond sequence. And he, of course, was rumored to maybe take over for James Bond instead of Pierce Brosnan back in the day. So there's something funny about him doing like a James Bond sequence with fucking Paddington the Bear. I don't know why. It's so good. Oh my God. I have nothing to shit on about this movie. This movie's so great.
Absolutely not. I mean, I made one disparaging joke about Hugh Grant at the beginning, but even that I have to take back. So like he was phenomenal in this. And I like what he's doing these days.
He's on to something.
Yeah.
He's on a roll.
He's on a roll.
Is so good. I'm excited for Paddington 3.
We're going in circles.
Yeah, I have nothing else to say about loving this movie. So anyway,
for sure, sit down with your family, especially if there's kids, and watch this movie. You will not be disappointed.
Oh, last thing, when the judge's wife finally says, "Gerald, I want you to shush." It was like this is so British. This is so. Even Maddie Smith is going, "I can die now. The Britishness has been passed on."
Yes.
Like, I'm just kidding, Maggie. Hang in there. There's more room for you. There's more time.
She upped him in the new Downton movie. Do I look like the kind of person who turned down a Fiddler in France?
Yeah. The trailer looks good. I don't know my Downton fans out there. Hugh Bonneville, there you go. Shout out. Okay. That's it. That's all I got.
That's it. Yeah, well, that's all we got for Paddington. Like you'll notice the more we like a movie, the shorter the episode is.
Great.
So yeah, this one's pretty short. It's
okay, well let's round it up. I said we always finish our episodes with a quick round of what you've been watching. Dave, you should probably save the good stuff for the Nick Cage movie, but what have you been watching?
Well, I fixed my Disney Plus this week. I was having a little
Disney Plus. You are tech.
I was having a little trouble with it on my TV. Like the app wouldn't work, and I found out I finally figured out what the reason was. Apparently, the Disney servers don't have IP version 6. Like the new internet format. So if you have that activated, it will fuck up your Disney Plus. So you either need to like switch it over to a different mode or like turn it off entirely, and it'll load just fine on a Sony TV, on a Bravo TV.
Disney.
Yeah. Like, what? How do you not have the new internet format on your fucking service? But the reason I found this out is because I really, really wanted, because they have that little thing there about 4K HDR, and I'm like, oh, let's see what's in there. And I looked, and they've redone like Empire or Jedi, all of the. So I sat down and enjoyed Empire in 4K HDR.
Jeez. Wait, hold on. Wait, I said like I knew. They have a separate sections that's like, if you have a nice TV, watch here.
Well, no, it just lists the ones that they've got on the service that are actually 4K HDR films. Like they've released that.
Well, I need to get into that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So how is Empire in 4K?
It looks fucking great. Yeah. Fucking great. What have you been watching?
So I actually didn't say this last time, but it was actually from 2 weeks ago. I rewatched Chinatown recently because that's also on HBO Max. And I loved it the first time, but it's been a couple years and I just was in the mood for something like that. And god damn it, it's so good.
That's a fun comedy romp with a happy ending.
That's I said that to somebody else and they're like, oh, what a happy movie. And I was like, I don't know. I was watching the whole time. I was like, this is awesome. I thought it was great. Yeah, I know they die at the end. I was kind of sitting there. I was like, fuck yeah, say the line, say it. They're like, come on, Jack, it's Chinatown. I was like, yes. Like, I know that it ends tough, but man, the movie's good. And then the last time I had one episode to go of both Super Pumped and We Crashed. And so it was actually really funny watching the season finales back to back. Of how We Crashed ends and how Super Pumped ends. And I stand by what I said about Brian Koppelman and David Levy. And they got in the way of their own show just a little tiny bit. Like, and also to all you filmmakers out there, if you get Pearl Jam's full catalog, don't use it in every single movie moment. Because I got so sick of hearing Pearl Jam. I was like, first of all, there's no fucking way that the founders of Uber were listening to Pearl Jam everywhere they went.
Was it as bad as Live and Let Die?
Yes, or they played the song "Live and Let Die" like 4 different ways. Yeah, literally, like every time there's a moment, they start playing Pearl Jam, and I was like, guys, this is in 2017. They're not listening to Pearl Jam. Stop it. Like, I know you bought the catalog, but even the writers, every single scene was like, I saw this movie Life, with Ryan Reynolds, and then they got this sequence, and that's basically like what's happening at Uber. It's like, oh yeah, well, when Jackie Robinson first came into the league, it was like, and every single thing was a metaphor that was about sports or pop culture, and it got to the point where it was like, guys, you are standing in front of the camera. Like you are, get out of the way and let your characters just behave. I got pissed off at that. Yeah, that's fine. Well, because these are good stories and the shows were done really well. I really like that Super Pumped kept it kind of like PG-13. Like they didn't, they could have been more grotesque and more ridiculous, but they kept it. And We Crashed, I actually really liked the way it ended. So anyway, that's it. That's my story. That's my
They didn't.
They didn't. No, well, I know they didn't, but they're still billionaires, so I don't feel bad for that.
Fair.
I feel bad for all the employees of these companies, but anyway, that's for another time. So that's what I've been watching. I guess that's it for us, Dave.
That's it for us.
You're gonna go ahead and do this episode with John. So everybody, check out our feed. We were talking about some cool movies, and
we're on TikTok now.
And we're on the talk, man. We're putting our highlights up there.
I'm trying. I've got a thing going. Apparently, it's almost impossible to get kicked off TikTok, but I'm putting the dirtiest things we've said on there.
Come on, let's go.
Yeah, let's get banned.
They won't send us to the teenagers who just want dancing videos, but we will find you, listener. All right, Dave, it's a pleasure. Until next time.